Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ashley and today we're going to be doing the May, take a second to process, the May update for the Level Up Project Pan. This is a project that was created by Sofie Alexander last year and has really just swept the panning community because it's such a fun concept. Essentially what she did was she took the concept of projects like pan those eyeshadows, pan in every palette, things like that, and then combined it with the No Pan Left Behind challenge to create this really fun game. So there are different levels. So for your level 1 palette, you have to use each shadow once and hit pan on one of the shadows. And then for level 2, use every pan twice, hit 2 pans, and so on and so forth. Now, the way that I have been doing mine, because I am a fickle woman, is that I have been using 2 palettes at a time. So currently I am working on my level 2 palette and my level 3 palette. My level 2 palette is from What's Up Beauty. This is my Geodes palette. I've been having so much fun with this palette. And this is where we are currently at. For those of you that have good, nice, sharp vision, you will see that I have hit everything that I need to hit on this palette. So I have used every shadow twice, as well as hitting pan on 2 shadows. So let's go through my numbers together. The first shadow in the palette is the shadow called Rock. You will see that there is a beautiful gleaming pan in there. I used that shadow an additional 13 times in this project in order to hit pan, and I'm not gonna lie, it was so satisfying when that happened because I've been doing this for a couple of months now and it just felt really good to see that accomplishment. The next shadow is called Crystal. I have used this twice since our last update. Amethyst, I have used twice in total in this project, so happy to say that I just squeaked on by with that goal. Citrine is that beautiful shimmery yellow shade. I have used that an additional 1 time since the last update. Peridot, I actually didn't use at all since our last update, but I'd already used it 3 times in total, so I have hit goal there as well. The last shade on the top row is the shade Clay. I only used that 1 additional time since our last update. As much as I love green eyeshadow, on me, this just pulls very gray, so I didn't gravitate towards it as much as I thought that I would. Starting off the bottom row, the first shade is Rose Quartz. I used that 3 times since our last update. Agate, I did not actually use at all this past month. Redondite, I used an additional 7 times since our last update, and there's a really lovely little dip going on there. Earth-like is the other pan that I have hit in this palette. I used it 6 additional times since our last update. It is definitely my favorite shimmer, well, one of my favorite shimmers in this palette. However, I did notice that as I used it more and more often, it did become more and more crumbly. So I think that actually helped to contribute to me hitting pan. But I love this shadow. It is such a stunning shade. The shade Lava is also one of my favorites in this palette. I only used it once since our last update, but this is such a gorgeous matte yellow. I love it. And then finally, we have Terra at the very end, which I only used 1 additional time since our last update. And I'm feeling so good about where I'm at with this palette and just how loved it definitely looks, and it brings me a lot of joy to look at it in this state, I'm not gonna lie. As much as I do really love this palette and I have enjoyed working on it these past few months, I am happy to be moving forward in this project and showing the same sort of love and dedication to some more eyeshadows in my collection. Now we also have my level 3 palette, which I chose a couple of months ago as well. And this is from BH Cosmetics. This is the 1991 palette that they did in collaboration with Alicia Marie. And I love this palette. I am wearing it today. I have a little bit of a shadow from a different palette just to kind of bump up the pink, but this is what she looks like. So many fun duochromes in here, and I have been loving playing with this palette. So let's talk about how many times we've used each of these shadows since our last update. As you can see, there is no pan, which again, for Afterlife, horrifying. Horrifying, not gonna lie. So let's start with the top shade, which is the shade Pixie. It looks white in the pan, but it has a yellow shift to it. I have used that 4 additional times since our last update. Lullaby, which is that beautiful pink shade, which also has a yellow flip to it as well. I have used that twice. Legend, I have used only once since our last update. Ritual is one of the shades that I am wearing today, and I've used that 1 additional time since our last update. The shade Illusion, that beautiful purple, I have used twice since our last update, one of those times being in the look today. The shade Spooky, I have used 1 time. The shade Alchemist, I've also used 1 time. On the bottom row, that matte cream colored shade called Afterlife, I've used that 20 times since our last update. I have used that shade a total of, hold on, mental math, 53 times. Let that sink in. 53 times. Oh my gosh, look at this. I'm gonna have to show it again. 53 times. Oh, I'm in for it with this palette. All right, Echoes is the shade next to it. I've used that twice since our last update. Karma, that sort of Dijon mustardy shade, I haven't used yet since our last update. Bad Liar, I've used 3 times. Lovesick, I have used twice, including today. And then we have Soft Spot and Safe Word on the bottom. I've used each of those 1 time since our last update. So we haven't gotten a lot of usages in this palette, which is to be expected given that it's my level 3 palette. But I enjoy playing with it, and there are just so many fun things that I can do with it. I'm really, really looking forward to busting into it. But also, that means that we get to choose our level 4 palette, which means each shade gets used a minimum of 4 times, and we have to hit 4 pans. Woo! So let's go ahead and pull up my Tiny Decisions app, because I was not prepared today. And we will roll for our next palette. All right, so this is my Tiny Decision app for this project. What do we got? Ooh, pumpkin spice, fun. Okay, let me go find that palette and then we'll be back to take a look at it and see how well these two are gonna pair together. All right, so here it is. This is the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette. This is a stunning palette. It is a fall themed palette. It was released a few years ago now, but even though there are some shade overlaps, I do think that this is going to complement and pair with the 1991 palette really, really nicely. And I'll be honest, I was starting to feel a little bit stir crazy. So I'm really glad that we have, you know, a new palette coming into the rotation so that hopefully I can stay in the panning zone and stray from it a little bit less, because this palette honestly is one of my favorites. I really enjoyed the majority of the Too Faced fall releases, and now that, I don't know, the last one that they released got terrible reviews, so I'm really interested to see if they're gonna go back to the original formula this year or if they're gonna stick with what they were doing. So super excited to see that. But rambling aside, I'm very excited to start playing with this palette, and I think we're gonna come up with some really fun looks together. As I said, definitely make sure to check the description box below and check out Sofie's channel. I know that it would mean the world to her if you stopped by. If you have enjoyed this video, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up and please consider subscribing before you leave. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope that you're having an amazing day, and I will see you next time. Bye.